The Panthers just got some great news. After a devastating injury in the playoffs last season, left tackle Ikem Ekwonu's future seemed uncertain. A new update shed some positive light on his future as a Carolina Panther. What's going on, guys? It is Tanner Blue with Carolina Panthers Digest. Hope you were doing well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Happy Tuesday. Getting just a day closer to the Panthers taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars for week 3, well, I guess week 2 of the preseason. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I want to say a special shout out and thank you to the first 500 subscribers to this YouTube channel. Thank you. We've been gunning for that for roughly a month now. We finally made it. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed and contributed in any way possible, shared any videos, liked anything. I really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. It's awesome to be able to do this and talk Carolina Panthers football with you every single day. So, you know the drill. If you haven't joined yet, please make sure to like and subscribe. We are now on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Can we get there before the regular season? That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to see. Let's do it. So, thank you guys to the first 500. You know who you are. So, today, going to be talking about the future of Ikem Ekwonu, the Panthers left tackle that was unfortunately injured in the playoffs last season against the Rams. A pretty severe injury that really most people penciled him out to be out for all of this year. It pretty much seemed like a foregone conclusion. You looked at any experts, any analysts, and you look at this kind of injury, it was a safe bet that he was probably going to miss all the season, maybe come back late at the end of the season if things are looking positive for the Panthers. But a new update could turn things around. So let's see what we've got. This over here on Panthers Wire, our friend Anthony Rizzuti, as always, coming in clutch with the information here. Let's see what he has to say. Carolina Panthers left tackle Ikem Ekwonu and Chicago Bears left tackle Ozzie Trapilo sustained the same type of injury at the same time of the year. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're on the same road to recovery. On Sunday, the Bears activated Trapilo from the physically unable to perform list 7 months after he ruptured a patellar tendon in his past January wildcard round. The 24-year-old is now eligible to practice at training camp, which is obviously an encouraging sign for his 2026 campaign. Ekwonu, like Trapilo, ruptured a patellar tendon in his team's wildcard round game in January, and while he's still shelved, the former first-round picks head coach, Dave Canales, seems to be getting closer to a return. Interesting information. So like we said, the Ikem Ekwonu going out with that injury last year in the playoffs, that was devastating. I mean, I was actually at the game. It was so unfortunate to see because, you know, Icky has been one of those players that has just seemingly progressed every single year. You know, when you take left tackles in the first round, you always have the hopes and dreams, really, of any player that they turn out to be a cornerstone of your franchise. And with Icky, you know, his rookie year, he did struggle. There were some signs of progression and things like that, but he really pretty much was mocked pretty appropriately, I would say, in terms of his skills and what he showed. Very, very good in the run game, absolutely mauling people, running people over. The question was always pass protection. And I think his rookie year, he did struggle, and I think people were concerned. But his years after that, his second and his third year, I think he's really improved. He's become a quality player. He, by no means, at least at this current time, is what you would consider like an elite left tackle, but he's certainly not a bust. A very good player, a starter in this league, someone that you can rely on for the most part. So very happy to see that Icky's career so far has turned out pretty well. That's why it was so unfortunate to see the injury, because left tackle, other than quarterback and defensive end, I'd argue is probably the most important position in football. If you cannot protect the blind side of your quarterback, you are going to be in trouble. Panthers fans have seen that firsthand. You know what I'm talking about. So it was unfortunate to see him go down with the injury, and you always wonder what was going to happen after he come back. Would he be the same player? That's still to be seen. But let's get into more some of this update and see what they're saying about Icky. Got it here. Icky's doing great, Canales told reporters after Monday's practice. He had another great day on the field. He's going in right now to get his lift in. He's progressing really well. Again, every case is different. We just got to take it with the information that we have. Consult our experts, consult the surgeons, all those things, get re-imaging, make sure we feel confident before putting him back out there. So giving a sign of confidence about the future of Ikem Ekwonu. And, like I said, if you've been on Twitter or if you've kept up with training camp and practice, you've seen the pictures, the images, the videos of him out there training, and he looks to be, moving around quite well considering the injury. So, like you see, the Bears tackle is seemingly getting ready to come back to practice, and you're not sure when he's going to be able to play, but that is encouraging information. It's very two similar scenarios. While every player is different, they are two similar kind of scenarios. So that is encouraging of what Canales is saying. I thought we were not even going to be close to this point whenever we were discussing his rehab of this injury. I thought we would be having this conversation maybe midway through the season if he would be able to come back. But here we are talking about this in the preseason before we even get to week one. Last little part of this article, what it get into, kind of gives us some more information. Canales was then asked if Ekwonu had already been ruled out for the Carolina's regular season opener. I don't know, he replied. I wouldn't say that necessarily, but I do know he's progressing really well. For now, the blind side is being manned by Rasheed Walker, who joined the Panthers on a one-year deal this offseason. Walker started 48 games at left tackle for the Green Bay Packers between 2023 and 2025. So that brings us to our next point. Obviously, right now, the position is being manned by this guy right here, Rasheed Walker, on the left tackle position. Again, I was surprised that the Panthers were able to pull this move off. I was very concerned going into the offseason what they were going to do with tackle. Obviously, they drafted one, but Taylor Moton injury happens. Then you're like, man, both tacklers are going down. What are you going to do? This makes Dan Morgan look like, I would say, a genius at this moment. Let's hope Rasheed Walker can continue his very stellar play. He was a quality starter over there in Green Bay. Not an elite tackle, but not a bust by any means. Certainly a very capable and good starter in this league. And I saw a tweet of, I think it was Brian Baldinger tweeted out him throwing someone around Rasheed Walker in the preseason game against the Bills. You love to see it. Let's see more of that. Hopefully we can continue to do that. So hats off to Rasheed Walker. I think he's going to do a good job this year and prove some people wrong. And he's on a one-year deal. And you never know what could happen. If things don't go well with Icky and he has a good year, Rasheed Walker could be sticking around as a Panther, or he could be up in his stock and getting paid elsewhere. But we're going to worry about what he does this season. All in all, as we've seen through the article, it seems like there is a chance that we're going to get Icky sooner rather than later. They're saying maybe the regular season opener. That would be incredible, even though you don't want to rush things, especially with a guy this young at a very premier position. You want to make sure he's healthy. And while the injuries have sucked on the offensive line, the Panthers do seem to have a quality starting five together at this moment, barring any more injuries. So hopefully, if anything, we've got our starting five going into week one. Let's see how we can progress. However, if Ekwonu is available week one, you still got to roll with Rasheed Walker at this point. I think that's a given. Everyone understands that. But what this does do is it gives you depth. We've seen Icky really, some people question coming into the NFL if he could be a tackle. What he would be an elite guard as opposed to being a solid tackle. Well, I don't know, and someone else can confirm this in the comments. I don't know if Icky's ever started a game at guard in the NFL. I know there's been talks, but maybe he's done it in practice. But with the health of our left guard and our right guard, Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt, over the past few seasons, there is reason to believe at some point those guys could miss time. I hope they don't, but as we've seen, it has happened. So it would be nice if, let's say Rasheed Walker's playing well, Monroe Freeling is playing well. Hopefully both your guards are staying healthy, but if they don't, someone goes down. Who could just slide in there at guard to maybe patch things up for while they get healthy and while he's trying to get his bearings right back from his injury? It could be Ikem Ekwonu. That seems like a nice idea in my mind. I mean, that's the absolute best possibility. So we'll see what happens. It is always nice to have depth on your roster, especially at the offensive line position, because we've seen what's happened with the second and third string guys in the interior offensive line. So far, it has not been good for the Panthers. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. That's all we have for today. Again, thank you to the first 500 subscribers to this channel. I really appreciate it. We're on the road to 1K. And as always, keep pounding. We'll see you on the next one.